everyone, it's John Orlando from the PVD Cast, and I wanted to take a few moments of your time to let you know where you can find the PVD Cast. The online home of yours truly, PVDcast.com, is a great place to go, but it's also available through all the major podcasting platforms like Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, etc. There's also live broadcasts of the PVD Cast every single week. Mondays 8 p.m. Eastern through the Facebook page of the PVD Cast, and Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. through the Scene Snobs Facebook page. And no matter how you listen, please make sure you rate, review, and subscribe. And with that, I will chat at each and every one of you later.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Scene Snobs Network, but I'm not here to talk to you about the Scene Snobs. I'm here to talk to you about Max and Jason, Three Geeks Podcast. You will probably tune into the Three Geeks Podcast and be like, 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, there's obviously more than 3. There's like 89 million of us. We started with 3. We're like gremlins. We just keep multiplying.
Yeah, they fed us at midnight. They poured some water on us, and now it's like 78 geeks. But you can be a geek too.
If you like comedy, which we sometimes do, if you like hearing about movies, TV shows, you like hearing hot takes from Max and John, you like hearing somebody who loves most things, but when I get mad about a show, it's pretty entertaining, I gotta say. But no, we're the Three Geeks Podcast. We're just a group of friends that don't talk to each other through the week so we can have natural conversations on Sunday.
Yep.
We're like actually probably the worst group of friends because we don't ever talk to each other outside of doing podcasts. I mean, except for you and I. That's because we're roommates. But, like Three Geeks Podcast. Tune in, check us out.
And have fun.
Yes.
Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah. And recycle your droids.
Hey, everybody, it's CJ Graham, Jason Voorhees. That's right, Friday the 13th, Part 6. And you're listening to thescenesnobs.com.
We're animated, totally insane.
They pushed me out and maced me.
Oh my God. They found me. I don't know how, but they found me.
Look for it, Marty! Who? Who do you think? The Libyans!
We're not Libyans, but we are here. It is BTB. It's Wednesday night. We are the first show up on the Scene Snobs channel. We have lost Lenny tonight and Casey, both to, matters out of their control, but that's okay because I am joined, as always, by Jay. How you doing, buddy? I missed you.
I'm alive, Captain.
We've been texting back and forth about all the movies he's been watching. They've been amazing. And we're going to definitely do some reviews very soon. But we do have some special guests tonight. One very special guest and one who's a part of the channel who it's his first time on BTB. Now, if anybody knows the rules of BTB, this is a hangout. This is where we talk movies. It's like hanging out at the video store with your friends. And if you're on it, you get invited back whenever you want. So I'm going to introduce Jason Taylor first from the Three Geeks Podcast. It's your first time on, buddy, so that means you can be invited anytime you want to come on.
Yeah, Mick was like, I need somebody else from Ohio and that lives in a town that starts with C. He's like, Jason, Columbus, Ohio. Yes. Perfect replacement for Casey. I just got to get the same, similar.
There is no way, shape, or form me saying I need a podcaster from Ohio. I feel like if I throw a rock, I'm going to hit a podcaster from Ohio. That state has two things, astronauts and podcasters.
You forgot the corn. We have a lot of corn. Corn everywhere.
But we do have a very special guest, and I want to bring him on. It's his first time as well. Not on the Scene Snobs, but on BTB. And that is Mr. Stephen Morgan. Now, before I bring him on, I want to talk about his awesome new movie, which made my on my 20 best of the last year. Let me pull it up. I have the right here, and it's called Rook. It is a very cool heist comedy film with a lot of heart, but also a lot of violence, and it's just a lot of fun. So that's a lot. Now I'm going to bring Stephen on. Mr. Stephen Morgan, what's up? Welcome to the show, sir. Thank you for joining.
Hey, welcome back.
I want to talk to you a little bit before we kind of get into any other topics. I want to talk to you about Rook and kind of where it came from. Like, let everybody know where they can find it, and tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, it's my first feature. First off, thank you for having me on, Mick. I always like being on here. But it's my first feature, and it took 4 years to make, and I just realized this the other day that I missed the entire Trump presidency because I was making this thing. I was like, how did I miss the spell? Because I come from a very conservative Florida. I come from Florida, where Trump land, and I'm just like, I missed. I was doing this. This is what I was doing. I was making this movie, and so I thought that was very interesting. But anyways, yeah. So it's my first feature. It's on Amazon Prime. It got picked up by Gravitas Ventures for U.S. and Canada. And we held on to the international rights, which is why, we're hoping that we can create a little buzz going in U.S. and Canada, and then, we'll see where it goes from there.
I love it. So what's the premise of the movie? I want you to explain it in your own words as the director.
The premise of the movie is a brother goes to a small town to meet up with his sister for a gold heist that he's basically put together with his quirky friend. And she's a bar owner, and so he, goes in and says, "Hey, look, if we can use your bar as a facility to facilitate the swap and all this stuff, we'll cut you in." And so she ends up going in with them, and before they actually get to do anything, all hell breaks loose and a bunch of bad stuff happens. And it's a cat and mouse game between two backwoods brothers who are desperately trying to get back the gold that was stolen from them, and a bunch of townspeople who just want to stay alive. So
it was so much fun, man. I really enjoyed it. And, I think everybody should go check it out. It's on VOD right now. You can go watch it on Prime. That's where I watched it. And yeah, definitely support. Yes. Yeah, we were talking about it. That was one of the movies you watched this weekend.
Yeah, and I was telling Mick that the intro to the movie absolutely had me hooked for how the protagonist just engaged with the audience. Because I'll admit, when I started the movie, I was on my phone texting and playing a game, and he looked at the camera and said, "Put down your phone." I was like, "Well, that's the end of that game."
I've been waiting for someone to say that they were on their phone, and they got called out in that moment, because when we wrote that in there, I was like, people might be offended by this. And then we just were like, they're probably going to be on their phones when they start it. So
nope, I was at home. I was in my chair, and I was just playing a game. Had it on for background. He was like, "Put down your phone." And I was like, "This is the part you're going to want to listen to." Well, there's my phone. You now have my full attention.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks for watching it.
Absolutely. It was really entertaining. I really liked it.
I can't wait to check it out. I saw Mick talking about it on the Scene Snobs.
Yes, and we're going to get Jason to check it out, and then next time you're on, we're just going to hound you about it even more.
But now I have a question.
Go for it.
Yeah.
How did a Florida boy with all the sun and fun get trapped in the snow?
I ran here as fast as I could. I escaped Florida. No, I love Florida. Florida's where everyone I know lives. But I came out here to do a commercial for the casinos, because where we shot it is called Cripple Creek and Victor. It's in Teller County, and it's like a casino town, but they're tiny little 2-story casinos, and there's just a bunch of retired people just cranking away their Social Security checks, and it's the weirdest, most goofy, backwards place I've ever been. And so instantly I was like, well, this would be a great place for a movie. I mean, this is the kind of place where they have several different people who play Santa Claus at Christmas.
Okay.
But they have social disorders. So it's just very interesting, choosing between which Santa gets to be the Santa this year. It's just the kind of place that funny things happen. And so that's kind of how it happened. So I came out just to do a couple commercials for the casinos.
Okay.
And I ended up going home and telling my wife, and I was like, "Hey, I think you should check this place out." And so we drove out, and she checked it out, and yeah, 7 months later, we were here.
Cool.
So
Well, I will tell you, I mean, I've gushed over it before we were talking about it. I really loved the cinematography of the film. You really showed the town beautifully.
Oh, thanks. That was mostly my cinematographer. He's from Florida. He's a Full Sail instructor. Have you guys heard of Full Sail?
I went to Full Sail.
You went to Full Sail. I know you went to Full Sail. Yeah, he's half the crew was Full Sail people. They were that's all. You know, we didn't have a whole lot of money, so it was like, hey, anybody who knows anybody. And you know, I was raised in Orlando, home of all the film students. So yeah.
That's legit. And you know what? And then I go and write about another Full Sail alumni. I'm no longer a student, so you can't hold that against me.
No. I mean, Full Sail is what you get out of it is what you put into it. You know what I mean? It's a great school. It's a great thing for, you know, people to jump into. I could never afford it. That's why I didn't go. I went to Valencia Community College and took all the film courses and then got out of there.
But you work with them. So now you've learned tricks of the trade from Full Sailors. For anybody who doesn't know what Full Sail is, because I'm sure there's plenty of you out there thinking like, what the hell are they talking about? Full Sail is an entertainment school in Florida. It's a college. It is a real college. I do have a BS from there. But it is a technical school. So you can take film, you can take video game design, you can take recording arts, you know, entertainment, business, things like that. So there's a lot of different fun things there. And they have all the state-of-the-art equipment. So it's pretty cool. But like you said, you get what you take out of it. You know?
Yeah.
You take out what you put into it is what I should say. But
yeah.
I do want to throw a plug before we get into the influences of the movie and stuff like that. I got to throw a plug to my buddy over here, Mr. Jason Taylor. Anybody who doesn't know, he is the host of Three Geeks Podcast and Matt Talk, which is probably the only Matlock-themed podcast. And I am very fortunate to A, call him a buddy, and to B, say both shows are on the Scene Snobs channel. So I'm so glad Jason's here. We get to hang out more and more these days, and it's so much fun.
It is absolutely fun, man. And there was another Matlock podcast for like 2 weeks. We don't know if they just did their episodes to make fun of us or whatever, but they were there and then they were gone like really fast. But no, we are the only Matt Talk podcast.
And I love the Breaking Bad design of it all.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's so much fun, though. I've listened to a few episodes, and it's making me want to watch Matlock again.
Come on, man.
Around.
Do you ever discuss Diagnosis Murder?
You have to. It's a spinoff.
No, we only talk about Matlock. No, I go off on tangents all the time. John gets really upset with me. Same strategy I have when I do interviews. I'm always like the guy who takes the interview like far right, and then I got to have a partner that can pull me back to, all right, this guy's here to, you know, talk about this thing, not something he did 45 years ago. But it's been a lot of fun. 3 Geeks Podcast has been fun. Mick's been on like every episode the last 3 weeks.
I'm starting 2021 off right. Face on there. It's a great.
So what do you guys on 3 Geeks? What do you guys talk about?
Everything. We talked about a guy who injected mushrooms into his arm, and that led to some fun conversation. We talk about typically nerdy stuff. We did a WandaVision review, and we get really geeky, but no, it's an anything goes podcast where we talk about pretty much everything. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out why I didn't think to make a movie for the last 4 years. It would have saved me a lot of headache.
I didn't know it was going to take 4 years. I thought it was going to take like a year. You know, that's what happens.
You know what though? Like, I mean, 4 years, but you have something that lives on, you know, and that's the most important thing, I think.
Yeah. Well, you can ask my co-writer Isaac did not want to write it for a year and a half. That was me being like, it's not ready, and it just kept on swapping. It kept on bouncing around a little bit. But yeah, 4 years. Yeah, you guys have been out there with it.
Well, we're happy it's here now, and I'm happy. Like, you reached out to me and you were telling me about it, and I was like, yeah, man, I'll absolutely watch. And I checked it out, and I was like, I got to get this guy on the show. Because you asked me for a review. You didn't even ask me for a review, and I was just like, I got to get you on the show. And then,
well, we got What was that, Jay?
I'm sorry, Mick. Did we talk about this last week? I can't remember if I stumbled across this or if somebody mentioned this on BTB last week.
I mentioned it. I said Steven was going to be on the show, and you were very adamant about checking it out. I think so was Lenny and so was Casey, but unfortunately they couldn't be here tonight. So like I don't know what they thought, but we'll find out next week when for sure. But no, we're man, it was very exciting. And one thing I have a question about: what are your influences movie-wise? Like, what were you watching to get you in the right mind frame of directing
For this movie?
For this movie, or just like being creative in general?
Well, there's one documentary that I watch like 3 times a year, especially if I'm in a project, which is Lost in La Mancha. Have you heard of that?
Oh yeah, the Terry Gilliam movie?
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, so Lost in La Mancha is a documentary about Terry Gilliam trying to make Don Quixote. And after it's been like decades of him trying to pull this off, and then after like I think it was like 2 days, like day 2 or day 3, after like everything going wrong as possibly could happen, they just pull the plug and the whole thing just disintegrates into nothing. And it's so sad, but it makes me feel like I'm all right because it could be worse. So that's one, as a filmmaker, I watch all the time. I watch it very, very frequently.
Nice.
But movies we were watching when we were writing Rook is like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, obviously, Coen Brothers movies. Isaac, my co-writer, he's seen way more movies than I have. He would be a great person to come on here because he just, he's seen everything. But I was watching a lot of like Guy Ritchie stuff and music videos. I was watching a lot of music videos when we were doing this because stylistically, I knew I wanted it to be different than, like Fargo. Like I didn't want to. It's in the snow, and there's people, say it's kind of like Fargo. I kind of wanted it to feel like it, but not actually rip anything from it. So, but it is a huge influence of ours, Fargo, and Coen Brothers movies in general.
Right. And it makes perfect sense with with the cinematography, the look of it. Like you very much you caught the feel, and we've talked about this before, but you caught the feel of the environment you were shooting in very well. Like everything around it, not just like, oh, it's snowing and there's some woods. Like you felt the town, like you saw where you were at.
Oh yeah, well, and that's the thing out there. Like you wouldn't believe the shots I left on the hard drive. Like I had to be very selective because I ended up putting way too much B-roll in because the town is so crazy and awesome and just so cinematic in general that my early cuts, it was like, dude, what is this, a commercial for the town? Because there was so much. And yeah, this is my first feature, so I just tinkered with it until it felt right, so it's like the scenes are like a revolving stair step of, you do the worst part first, you go with what it needs the most, or what you think you can get in, and then that goes to the top, and now you got another worst scene. Now this is the worst scene, and now you go through this scene, and now that's at the top. Now this scene that wasn't so bad is now the worst scene, and that's how I did it. I just kept moving through it and rotating it until it all felt right.
Nice, man. Awesome.
So one of my questions and I'm going to try my best to not do spoilers for anyone watching. So please go check this movie out yourself. But what made you decide on the character choices for this particular movie? Why a brother and sister instead of a boyfriend and an ex who just happens to show back up?
Good question. Let's see if I can remember. We went through so many different versions. It used to be called Black, Red, Gold. That was the original version that was the original title. Okay. And it was like a slow drama. It was not what Rook is. It was very slow and very slow burn, which I love. I love those kinds of movies that really just kind of like ramp slowly and boom, 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 and then and at the end there was this big old huge thing at the cabin, and like everyone's shooting each other and stuff. It grew into this big thing. But specifically with the two lead actors, they actually are boyfriend and girlfriend in real life. And so what happened was when we were writing it, I don't know off the top of my head why we ended up going with a brother and a sister, but I remember we were casting Annie. She was definitely the main character first, and we were casting her, and she was like, hey, can my boyfriend read with me, because he's around the same age as this brother character. And yeah, it was kind of serendipitous as we found Annie through Sarah, we found Zach, Ben through Zach.
One thing I really liked about it too, it being a brother-sister situation, I think that made it more believable, in my opinion, why she'd be, as much as she realizes like this guy's a deadbeat, he's never done anything for me, I'm trying to get my life together, she's still going to help him ultimately, because that's her family. That's the only family she has. Yeah,
and it bites her in the ass pretty quick, and then all sorts. Well, you tell me, like, yeah, what do you think?
Well,
the funniest parts for me were the bar patron that just happens to be her muscle for the scenes, and I was like, where does he come from and how is he actually tied in? But as the movie progresses, no spoilers, you understand a lot more of how their relationship played out, and I was like, that makes a whole lot more sense of why he was there and her actual boyfriend wasn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like definitely. She could definitely share with him more about like the life she had than her boyfriend, who happened to be a cop. That's not ruining anything. It wasn't a secret. It was just something added into it. And I just thought that that added so much element. Like I really like. I've seen this movie about 4 times now since I saw it the first time. And I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. Like I just really enjoyed the movie.
That really just makes me really happy. That's why I reached out to you. I was like, I need people to see this thing. And I looked down and I was like, Scene Snobs, Mick Manhattan. Man, that guy looks awesome. And so I really appreciate you jumping on it, man.
Absolutely. And to find out that it's a Full Sail alumni out there making the movie it warms my heart even more. Anytime you guys all want to come on the show, please. I don't mind. Let's have some fun. But I do want to get into a little bit, like, so you said you're a Coen Brothers fan. I definitely see elements of that in your movie. I definitely see elements of Guy Ritchie, especially Snatch and Lock, Stock in there. Yep. That's why when you said that the original script is very like dramatic, and then it became what Rook is, and you mentioned Guy Ritchie, I'm like, oh yeah. I was like, I know what you guys are watching.
I can see the influence.
Have I told you the story about that? Have I told you how it switched from being slow to fast? Did I tell you? Did we talk about that already?
Not you told me like about the switch, but I don't think you told me about.
I didn't hear about it.
Well, so basically, we were just about ready to start shooting this thing, and we were planning on the schedule was for March of 2018. And then I went on a trip with my family for a couple weeks, and actually, before I did that, we were trying to raise money for the feature, and I was like, I don't know how we're going to raise this money without proving to them that we can do it. So I told my writer Isaac, I said, I'm going to go get a sandwich. You write a 3-page short film that we can shoot in a day for nothing, but put the characters of the movie in it and just do whatever you want. And he's the one who made it like quick and snappy. It's the short I just sent you, Mick. It's that one. It's called Relative Duplicity, and it premiered at the Denver Film Festival. But it was what we used to raise the money. We walked around and we told people like, hey, this is the feel of it. This is the thing of it, and then the quality of the short. I mean, it was shot pretty quick in a day, but like it was good enough to get people to be interested. But it was when we shot the short that I was like, that's what I want to make. I don't want to make this slow freaking thing where it's like depressing and all this. I want to have fun. Like, let's have some fun. Like, so I basically was like, dude, rewrite it. Like, rewrite the whole script in this feel. And then we started over. And then we changed the shoot date to November and spent the rest of the year rewriting it into Rook. But it was based off of this short film that he did, and it just was more fun. I just wanted to have fun.
Awesome.
So,
Well,
Yeah.
so I want to get into some of your I want to talk about heist movies a little bit. So because this is very much a heist movie, what are some of your favorite heist movies? All of you. I want to kind of go around, and I'm going to start with Jason on this one. Jason, what are some of your favorite heist movies out there?
Ocean's 11 with George Clooney, not Frank Sinatra. I love watching the Frank Sinatra one because the Rat Pack is great, but no, Ocean's 11 is one of my favorite movies. I could watch that movie over and over and over again.
Nice.
I think it has the best cast of maybe any movie ever.
It's a pretty solid cast. It's hard to argue with that, especially because they all. One thing I really like, and it can't be said for a lot of movies, but it can be said for Ocean's 11. Lord of the Rings is 100%. It could be said for is every character serves a purpose. There's no character. You can't say that about Ocean's 12 or Ocean's 13. There are some characters in there that are kind of just like named characters that were thrown in.
Bruce Willis.
That's good. But every character in Ocean's 11 serves a purpose, and I love that. There's no filler or anything like that. It all makes sense. It all plays part into the full story. And Lord of the Rings is very famous for that because there's, the books especially, there is no filler. Everybody has to be there for it to be what it is. And that's why I think that enhances a movie so much more. But for a heist movie, especially when you call it Ocean's 11, you have to have everybody doing something, and they did in the original. The original was just kind of like, a bunch of buddies going to steal some money.
Yeah, 100%. Brad Pitt is great. He's my favorite character in those films. But 11 is the best one by far.
So, Steve,
I agree.
How about you? With I'm going to guess Snatch is a big one.
I mean, yeah, Snatch is a huge one. But that was the one I saw when I was young. I was a kid, and I saw it. The first time I saw Snatch was with a device called Curse-Free TV. Has anyone ever heard of that?
No.
It was a little box. It was a box that they would sell to church people that you'd put on your TV in between the DVD player and the television, and it would mute any bad words, and it would subtitle in, and it would replace the bad word with something else. So it was like, you toe hole, or and so
I do remember those.
So that's the first time I saw Snatch, and it was with my dad, and all my friends were like, this is the worst thing I've ever been through in my life, because it was just so horrific. But more modern stuff that I've seen lately would be like Baby Driver. Dude, did you guys see Baby Driver?
Yes.
Yeah.
That one. Sorry.
Oh man,
I love that movie.
Yeah, and by the way, we have the box on. Stop cursing. You gotta say oh fudge.
Fart knocker.
Ham sandwich.
All you want to do is get all of us that box and just go watch a bunch of movies, especially Goodfellas.
Dude, it would censor like Jesus of Nazareth. Like it would censor when people would say Jesus, because you could put it on religious and it was like anything. It was insane. It was crazy. But
I love that.
Great.
So what about so you were talking about Gerard, about Jay as you are.
There's a million of them.
Baby Driver. You said Baby. Do you love Baby Driver? What'd you love about Baby Driver?
So what I loved the most about Baby Driver was the fact that although it was a heist movie and I like to see my thieves kind of doing the heist, it was more important for me to understand the getaway driver and how his backstory for the whole thing. How he was trying to do the right thing, trying to get the girl, trying to take care of his crippled and deaf stepdad, who was just trying to help him do the right thing. And the driving was phenomenal in that movie. The opening scene alone, I'm just trying to figure out how you coordinate that around a city with stunt drivers and getting everybody in place. I love that movie. I've watched that movie like 3 or 4 times, and I don't even remember when it came out.
I feel like the best part of that movie was the music.
Absolutely.
And that's not putting anything else down. That's just saying the music choices work so perfectly with it. and I don't want to give anything away for Jason who hasn't seen it yet, but really watch this movie. I think you'll be blown away by it. The chase scenes, especially the opening chase scene, is just like the first like 5 or 10 minutes of that movie just kind of blows me
Bell
away.
bottoms.
Yeah,
So
I love that. The opening scene with the heist in the car and the bank robbery and with the windshield wipers and all that stuff. Have you seen the music video that's based on? Edgar Wright did a music video. Oh shoot, I forgot the band's name, but it was basically a guy in a car like that, while 3 other dudes jump out and rob a bank or something, and he just took that music video and he put it in his movie. And I was like, holy crap! I didn't know that until after I saw the movie. But it was like, it was like awesome because he took this piece of art that he did like 10 years before, and he's like, I still find it intriguing, and I really want to put it in a movie. So he put it in his. I thought that was really interesting.
And I like how he left Ant-Man, over creative differences. I'm not going to say he just left to be, now I'm going to do Baby Driver, but he left.
Oh, I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, he was originally supposed to, and for a while, a long time, he was supposed to do Ant-Man. And Jace probably knows more about this than I do. But he wound up leaving due to creative differences, and Peyton Reed took over. But when he left, he was just like, I'm going to do something for myself. And that was Baby Driver. He went right into it. Do you know why he left, Jason?
Creative differences. When he started developing the movie, there was no Marvel Universe. Like, he started developing it back when Iron Man came out. But by the time Ant-Man was finally going to come out, he had to, shoehorn a few things in to tie into the bigger universe. And that's where the creative differences happened. But he cast most of that movie on his own. And there's still elements of Edgar Wright in the final movie, too.
Nice.
You can tell when, he gets trapped in the quantum zone.
Yeah, that is very Edgar Wright-ish.
Yeah.
So, for me, like a heist, like one of my favorite heist movies of all time is Heat. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's
that's a good movie.
Blows me away every time I see it because it is a long, epic movie, but De Niro is probably at his best, in my opinion.
One that I actually liked, similar to Heat, was the score with Edward Norton and Robert De Niro.
Marlon Brando.
You're the one that likes that movie.
Yes.
I like it.
No.
I like
the funny thing for me with that movie is it all works except for the Marlon Brando scenes.
Well, they just went to find him wherever he was. He just hung out. That's where he lives.
Yeah. When you go to the bar that day, sure.
Well, the sauna, just sauning all the time.
Tell me, I can't even imagine as a filmmaker if you got stuck with somebody like Marlon Brando, and not Marlon Brando, young Marlon Brando, that right there, like all the movies where it's just like, you got to do what I want to do. I'm not wearing pants today. Like,
right.
Tell me how you feel about that.
Do you guys ever discuss the Island of Dr. Moreau or anything like that?
We can. By all means.
Do you guys know Do you know the backstory? Jason Taylor probably knows the backstory of the island.
I do not know the backstory of that movie, but I know that it's supposed to be really bad, and I really want to see it.
It's a wild ride. It was basically just Marlon Brando, just torturing everybody there, and just he wouldn't leave his room, so they had to shoot stuff in his room, and then he met this I don't know what kind of disease it is, but it's a man who was this tall, and he was the shortest man ever, or something like that, and he just was this guy's gonna be next to me, dressed in the exact same clothes as I'm dressed in. And at one point, he picks up a pan and just puts it on his head. And he's like, "This is my hat now." And they're like, "Okay." It's just and Val Kilmer goes on to talk about how horrible it was, and everybody just wanted to quit the whole time. And it's just but it was because of Brando, which I don't know.
I've not heard any good stories about Brando on film sets.
I haven't either.
Yeah, so
even in Superman, where it's great, one of his greatest, in old age, he didn't even want to record his lines for that one.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the other thing. I forgot about that. He had an earpiece because he refused to remember his lines.
Yeah.
They would just talk to him through his earpiece.
Well, you know what? In Godfather as well, what's his name? Robert Duvall had to wear the script on his jacket. You know, that's why if you watch it and like he's always kind of turned away to the side when he's facing Vito, it's because he's wearing the script so Marlon Brando can read it. Can you just? I mean,
do your job, man.
Like why did they continue to hire him?
It's because he's a good actor.
That's even that's crazy.
He could pull off the roles, but as he got older, like Superman was a big one because Superman, that was like the highest paid. He was the highest paid actor of all time at that time.
Yeah.
When he got that role, and he steps in, and he refuses to learn the lines. He didn't want to read that dialogue. He didn't want to do that, and he was supposed to have a bigger role, even just dialogue wise. But he was just like they had to fight with him tooth and nail. Richard Donner had to keep fighting with him, but I think it was just living off the Brando name. You know, like something like The Score. If you can get Brando in it, now you're selling it's De Niro and Brando together in a movie. You know, and they played the same character in Godfather, and so there's a lot of legacy there. But now you just throw them together, and it's just like, but the guy just doesn't want to leave the bar he's in. You know, and it's like, what are you doing? I can't understand why Brando ever got, after all his debacle of Apocalypse Now. I don't understand how he kept getting work.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal to just wonder, like, was he that good that you'd put up with that? Like, that's a lot.
And then he denied his Oscar, so like he was like, I refuse to accept this. I mean, he did it for good reasons, I suppose.
Like, you got to hire somebody that's going to specifically sit there and deliver lines to Marlon Brando through his earpiece.
Yeah.
And it has to be a hired person. Like, he wouldn't let the director do it. He wouldn't let, you couldn't just get like the writer to do it.
Right. Script supervisor. Somebody
he wants to listen to. That's a level of diva they'll never understand. That's some Mariah Carey stuff right there. That's so many levels.
So if you want a different heist movie, I can go for Point Break.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
That's another one of my favorites.
Why is that one of your favorites?
As underrated as I think he is, Keanu Reeves really sold that movie for me.
Keanu sold it, huh? Not Patrick?
Keanu sold it for me, and his relationship with Patrick Swayze, like the bromance for that movie is on another kind of level.
Yeah, him letting him go at the end, and I don't care if it's spoiled. I have a very strict rule in the Scene Snobs. If it's older than 2 or 3 years old, I'll spoil it. I don't care. And if you haven't seen it, too bad. Watch that and watch Roadhouse and thank us later.
There you go.
Pop those pills and you'll be fine. So was something like that when he let him go at the end of that and he's just walking away. He throws his badge into the water. It's the most dramatic scene for a movie about surfing I think I've ever seen.
It made no sense. Absolutely. I am an FBI agent. I was like, but you have him in cuffs. Like, just take him to jail now.
Yeah. No, I got to ride the wave, man. You know what I would love to see? I would love to see a heist movie that is kind of revolves around like a Groundhog Day situation. Like, okay. So there you go, Steven. You got an idea for you right there. The Groundhog Day situation, but it's a heist movie, and they don't get out of the loop until they figure out how to get away with the heist.
It hasn't been done yet. It's been done in horror very well. It's been done in action, but not in a heist movie.
And like I ask everybody, if you do it, you got to invite me to set.
For sure. I got a question actually for Jason, who might know a lot about reboot stuff. Do you know a lot about reboots?
I know. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts on rebooting franchises?
It depends, because sometimes it's done really well. I'm one of the people that love the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies, all three, especially the third one. I love the third one. It depends.
That's kindred spirits, buddy.
Yeah, the third one's the most Star Trek of the three Star Trek movies, which ironically it was made by the Fast and Furious director. But
let's not go there.
I am okay with rebooting franchises because no matter what, I have the originals. So there's nothing.
What are your qualifications for like doing it right? Like, what would you like to see if someone's going to reboot a franchise?
I think so far the best rebooted franchise to date is Cobra Kai, but yeah, but I don't know. I really don't, because I like the new Star Wars movies, and I'm the only person that does because I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. Like, I think J.J. Abrams made the best Tomb Raider movie of all time, which would be an amazing franchise for him to reboot because Rise of Skywalker was pretty much Tomb Raider.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. As a Star Wars fan, I kind of disagree, but
Jason,
my only problem is the end. What?
I had a question for Jason on reboots for the Rob Zombie reboots for Friday the 13th and Halloween. How you thought those two played against the originals?
Rob Zombie, he didn't do the reboot. It was Michael Bay for Friday the 13th.
Okay.
Michael Bay?
I think he means Halloween. So you're talking about the Halloween movies that Rob Zombie did?
Yeah, Halloween. Yeah. Michael Bay did Friday the 13th, but Halloween.
Okay.
I wasn't a huge fan because you don't need to give us a backstory on Michael Myers. Like, that just takes away from the fun of the franchise, I think, because Michael Myers is supposed to be like an unknown entity. That's why I like that the new one, they brought it back, but they erased the brother and all this other stuff because he doesn't need a motive. He's just a guy that runs around killing people. I thought the first Rob Zombie movie was fine. The second one was horrible with the weird unicorn or horse or whatever that was. I blocked most of it out of my memory. But reboots can be fun. Same with remakes. Like, some of the best movies in the world are remakes. Scarface, The Thing, Ocean's 11. So it's really hard to come out against either one because eventually they can be made right. Like, Girl Meets World was atrocious. But Full House, if you were a Full House fan back in the day, it's the same show. Like, they literally just made the same show when they brought Full House back. So it really depends. I like most things, though. I'm the one guy on the Three Geeks podcast that is a fanboy of everything.
Except Star Wars.
I know, I love Star Wars. I'm not as invested. First off, Disney messed up by not having one person make the three new movies. Because it was literally, I'm going to make 7. I'm going to make 8 and ignore 7. I'm going to make 9 and ignore 8 and just pretend 8 didn't exist and just pick up where 7 lopped off. So, yeah.
Well, definitely, because, like, just to kind of elaborate on that a little bit more, it's like they needed an overseer. I don't care if they have 3 different directors, but they did need an overseer of the whole thing. Like, George Lucas, at least, like, when Irvin Kershner directed Empire, he oversaw it, though. Like, he was there and he was like, this needs to be here. This needs to be here. So
they needed the story hammered out because in 7, when they filmed that, Daisy Ridley said that she was told Obi-Wan was her grandfather, not Palpatine. So that was changed after they made 7, which if you watch 7, all the hints and clues lead to Obi-Wan. Definitely not Emperor. So I get all the complaints, but I like each movie as its own thing.
For me, like The Last Jedi, I often say, I was like, it's one of the best Star Trek episodes that Star Wars ever produced.
Yeah, Rian Johnson should make a Star Trek movie. I agree. That'd be great.
It really is. Think about it. It's just them trying to outrun. And, like, you could see, like, if there's a problem with the warp core, and maybe, like, the Romulans are chasing after. I know I'm getting geeky here, but whatever.
It's all right.
Do whatever I want. The Romulans, and they're staying just out of range of being hit, and, like, it's just them trying to figure out how to get away or get to a place. like that's a Star Trek movie. That's not a Star Wars movie. So I didn't think it was a bad premise. I just didn't like it for the entity that it would belong to. Now I will say this: I do kind of agree with you on remakes and reboots. There are a lot of great ones, and I think people tend to forget about that. Like when people say like when you say The Thing, like people tend to forget that The Thing was a remake.
Yeah.
Steven's living in it right now out there in Colorado. So
Oh yeah.
he's going to watch that tonight. I have a feeling. It snowed this morning here, and I was just like, I'm watching The Thing tonight. This is happening. It'll be my fourth view of 2021. But for me, like, there's only one remake that truly dominates, and that's my remake of Weekend at Bernie's, which is coming up this Sunday on the Three Geeks podcast.
Oh, dude, we're going to change the game with our remake. You have no idea. John and I just finalized everything. We got a couple commercials, spoiler alert, to record, but we are ready to go.
Oh, you have no idea.
What's happening?
We have a remake. It's not my show. It's Jason's show. You tell him about it. Why am I talking?
My buddy Mike, he has a YouTube channel, and he started a show called Remake Revolution where two teams would play against each other. Each would come with their own pitch, cast, director, marketing campaign, and soundtrack. And then you would compete against the other team. And there's 5 categories. You get points for each category: plot, cast, so on and so forth. And it's been a lot of fun. We took over the production on it because we really like doing it. Mike just doesn't have the time. So we're like, can we do this on our channel? And you can share it, and we'll do all of the work, and you can put it on your YouTube channel and so on and so forth. It's been a lot of fun. We had Lock and Keys, Jesse Camacho come on and play. We got the Candies coming on soon to play. I'm excited. And then we got Mick coming on. We're doing a March Madness tournament with Remake Revolution.
What?
Which we haven't entered in. I haven't told him yet, but
it's like the fantasy league I've always wanted to be into, but I never knew how to be a part of.
That's the man right there.
We'll get in touch with each other. I'd love to.
Well, what kind of stuff have you remade, and what kind of stuff are you thinking?
We did Showgirls, which it was 2 teams, both men, and these guys turned into professional script writers and producers. They made marketing stuff that was very well produced. It's only happened for Showgirls, but these guys came with like full outlines of a script treatment, some dialogue. It was crazy. And then posters and Taco Bell commercials, which we've retired, but it was awesome. Really fun. Mega Man, we did Flash Gordon, a lot of stuff. We try to keep it topical, but for some reason Weekend at Bernie's came up, and I think that's great.
Oh my God. And I didn't realize. And again, I'm not giving anything away because it's airtight until we do this on Sunday. So everybody, go check it out. It will be on the Scene Snobs channel. It's this Sunday at 12 noon. I'm going to put that up right now. We got into it and we're like, all right, what are we going to do a Weekend at Bernie's? Like, we weren't really sure. And then we get into it and we're like, oh my God, and we can do this. And then this will happen. And then, oh my God. And by the end of it, we're like, we want this movie made now. Like, we're legit like, this will be a great remake. This will make this movie even better.
We didn't use it, but I'll tell you one of our plots we didn't use, which was called John. I said, somehow we got to make City Slickers and Weekend at Bernie's one thing.
I was about to say, if you do a City Slickers version, I'm already thinking about it.
Because I was like,
isn't that a great idea to reboot City Slickers?
I was like a hunt for Bernie's treasure, and we bring the City Slickers guys in with it was a whole thing, but John said I was out of control, so we didn't do that.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
City Slickers would be a perfect movie to reboot, like nowadays, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and I don't know who else, but it would,
Who do you get in a scenario like that? Because you had Billy Crystal, Daniel Stern, very funny guys in it. Who's the third guy that they had?
John Lovitz was in the sequel. I love John Lovitz.
That's right. He was Jack Palance played Curly. So who do you get nowadays to make it even funnier?
Well, first off, I think you reboot it, which means bring back the original cast on top of bringing new people in. But that's a good question. Who do you get?
Well, if I'm thinking if you remake it without bringing back the original cast, Kevin Hart.
Jack Black.
Yes.
Ooh.
Jack Black.
Bring back Billy Crystal in the Curly role.
Yep.
But
Or Daniel Stern.
Yes. Oh, I love Daniel Stern. Home Alone 2 is a great heist movie. Daniel Stern, he needs more work. There's something about watching Marv get hit by bricks that just.
I just watched it with my kid. My kids love Home Alone 2, and their favorite part is when Marv is like looking up at the rope, you know, and he's like, and then he gets so excited because he's so excited that he's like he found a trap that isn't a real trap, and then he pulls it and it lands on his head. Oh, dude, I love it. It's so great.
Oh, that movie has created so much turmoil in my home because my 8-year-old loves it. And the other day, we found a Christmas ornament by his window in his room. And we were like, oh.
On the ground, right on the ground.
And we're just like, oh, yeah, he's trying to keep robbers out. But it's so much fun. You say Brian, you said Bill Burr for the role. I'm guessing to fill Billy Crystal's role. I think it would be, you know what? Kevin Hart, because you have to have the guy who needs to get away and he tries it, but he hates it. But then by the end comes around. But Bill Burr would be a good filler for maybe the Daniel Stern role if you remade it.
Or for like the Ice Cream Brothers who are like out there with them, you know what I mean? Like if you like get Bill Burr and like I don't know, someone else who's like opposite, you know, because and Bill Burr would always be going, "What? You can't do that kind of ice cream. It would melt all over." You know, he's really good at just going off like in that thing, you know. So
Bill Burr with Galifianakis, that'd be entertaining.
With Zach Galifianakis,
that would be funny. That's a good remake.
You know who I like? A lot of people forget is actually a comedian first. Is Dennis Leary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dennis Leary could be opposite Bill Burr in a lot of scenes that would play up both of their comedies.
I think Dennis Leary could do the Daniel Stern role almost.
Yeah, I could see it. Man, that would be a good one. Because I just saw him in that show he did last year. It was like called The Moody's or something. It was not a very good show, but he was really funny in it. The
Ref. The Ref is another heist movie.
Oh, that's such a great heist movie too.
Oh, Ref. I haven't seen The Ref.
Oh my God, go watch The Ref. Oh, you got to watch The Ref. He's a thief that just they just went through the heist, and then he's hiding out in.
He's trying to get away from the cops, and he ends up hiding out at this dysfunctional family's house, and he has to play marriage counselor to this dysfunctional family while holding them hostage.
Yeah.
So it's like a rated R version of Man in the what's the House Guest with Sinbad? You remember that? Remember he's got to play. He's got to play the dentist.
Yeah, but that's basically what it is. But he's so funny in it. Kevin Spacey's in it. You know, however we feel about that, it's still really funny.
How do we feel about that? I've been curious about that. Like, how do we feel about someone who like their art after they go down for something like that? Like, can you separate the art and the artist? Is that?
I have to.
I can with some people, but not everybody. Sorry, Jay.
Not a problem. Because in some cases, like you can, but like, so I look at it like I look at Kevin Spacey's body of work, and he is a phenomenal actor, but the characters he plays never really channels over into what he was accused of, or I don't know if he ever went to trial for that or was convicted, but I know he was just essentially outed from Hollywood. Mm-hmm. But you look at like another artist, and I hate to bring this up, but like R. Kelly, and he actually portrayed that in his art as well, and it completely turned me off from the rest of his work. So it's a toss up between like how much of their art bleeds over into their real life for me. So sometimes I can separate it, sometimes I can't.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Like, because you can look at what they did and then go look at their movies and be like, okay, if that's the kind of guy they are or the kind of person they are, let me go look at their art and see how much of their art was being was little, because American Beauty was probably as close to what Kevin Spacey did, but in a movie. You know what I mean? Like if you're comparing like what he actually did versus what like his movies were like, that was pretty close. But I know that I don't know. I feel like it's just another question we need to ask ourselves right now, and it's a question of like, is it worth a piece of art getting taken out of circulation if that art hurts people? I don't know. Like I don't know the answer to that. But
so let's play a little game. I know we're playing a game with something that probably shouldn't be playing a game with, but I'm going to have some fun with it. I'm going to throw out projects from that starred people who were, part of the Me Too thing, and you guys answer. Should it stay in or should it go?
All right.
Now, I got clips here, so you better. If you answer yes, you get one clip. If you answer no, you get another clip.
Clip? What's a clip?
Oh, you'll see.
Oh boy.
For the fun times.
Slightly nervous.
No. We'll start with Kevin Spacey. So we're saying, and we won't do the ref, but we'll do one of his bigger movies, like American Beauty. Like, do you think with everything, do you think that's something that should be taken out with all the awards it won and everything?
No. Because
No!
You're gonna know.
it's hard because there's so many people that work on these movies, and the fact that he's a creep in real life adds an extra layer of creepiness to his character in that movie.
Okay, so Kevin Spacey movies are pretty much safe then, you said.
Well, I think that it's probably never going to get taken down because they're making millions off of them still. But I think it doesn't hurt me personally. I mean, I wasn't hurt by Kevin Spacey's performance and that stuff. I was more freaked out by him watching House of Cards than any of his other roles, because that was like mimicking what probably is actually happening in the white, in politics. Yeah. So that freaked me out, but I know that's a remake too. So it's like there's another thing to be said about the actor versus the writer versus the director versus the producer. Who's putting the person in the room? How many of the things that have happened in Hollywood that are a part of this way it works do we need to start rethinking? That's a big question.
Well, how about like Woody Allen? Do his movies still remain safe?
So I hesitate on this one for the simple fact that the only Woody Allen movie I remember is where he played a sperm and there was a giant boob chasing people across a lawn. That is the only movie of his I remember.
Well,
his personal life is very much so out there, and it's it's got its stuff or whatever. But personally, his movies don't offend me, or at least I haven't watched them in a little while. So maybe I need to go rewatch some of them. But
that's a good point, though. So think about this. So like Woody Allen hasn't been accused of anything on set wise, right? So you can kind of dissociate. And I know we're getting real heavy here, especially for the end of the show, but whatever, we're having fun. But so like I can see that. But what about somebody like Bryan Singer, who's accused of doing things on set?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're not like a trustworthy person to be in a position of power, I think you get one chance. Like if you abuse that power, you're done. That's how I feel about it, at least. But they have plenty of money anyways, and they're going to be fine. But there's something to be said about people who put things in their movies that at that time was funny or cool or whatever. Like I love John Hughes. I think he's brilliant. His movies are incredible. But 16 Candles, Yeah, I don't even have to say it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's like, that is, if that teaches someone, some high school kid, that's cool and that's okay, that high school kid is going to be screwed, and he's gonna hurt somebody, and American Pie, like with the whole like webcam thing. As a kid, I was like, man, I wish I could see a but that's like totally illegal. Like, you're gonna go to jail if you do that. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that like, are pretty messed up that the 90s and the 2000s gave us. But it's just a question if it's hurting somebody, like I think it's for anything, if something is causing damage, it's worth talking about.
It's a lot easier to look past a director or an actor than it is to look past a musician. Like you mentioned, R. Kelly. Like when you watch an R. Kelly music video, you're just watching R. Kelly, or you're just listening to R. Kelly. So in a movie, you start to think, okay, Kevin Spacey's in this, but all these other people are working on this one project. So do I punish all of them because in the past they worked with this guy before this problem came out? Like I still occasionally will throw on Thriller, but it's harder to listen to Michael Jackson with some of the stuff I know now too. So it's
But let's face facts. Once you hear Eddie Vedder and Beat It, no, not Eddie Vedder, Eddie Van Halen and Beat It, it's not that hard. You can listen.
Oh yeah.
Art, just art for me. Like that's why I look at it this way. Like if you have to detach that terrible person from the roles or the movies. Like you said, there's more than one person working in it.
Yeah.
And so it's not that you're just supporting that one person. But like to give up all of these great movies, like to not watch The Ref again. And it's Kevin Spacey gives a great performance in it, but it's Dennis Leary. So what am I doing? I'm going to give that up. I'm going to give up Dennis Leary's great performance because of Spacey.
And it's Jeepers Creepers, that director.
That one's tough. That one's a tough one to attach.
No, I can't do him anymore. Like when he came out and made Jeepers Creepers 3, everybody that signed up for that movie knew what that guy was about. Yeah. So And
those are ones I haven't, but you see, like I try to attach myself. That's a situation where even before he made the first one, even before, like he was accused of things. Well, he went to jail and had served his time in the 80s. So everybody knew what was coming in. Now, does the person not have the right to make a movie? I guess not, but at the same time, he did work with children on that movie. I knew one of them. One of them's from Florida, actually. Chris Nice, he was in the movie. And I'm not saying anything happened, but I'm saying he was a child. And that's somebody who shouldn't have been on set with this director. You know what I mean? So, like, when you start thinking about stuff like that, you're kind of like, all right, how do you detach somebody like that? But I'll tell you one person, just kind of wrapping things up, but like one person, I loved it as a child. I watched it religiously. I wanted to live in that world and be a part of that family, is The Cosby Show. And I have not been able to watch it since.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's just once you turn somebody who you thought was the best dad ever, somebody you wanted, like I was a kid, I'm like, I wish I could have been in the Huxtable family. I was like, I wish I could be a Huxtable. That would have been amazing. He was a great dad. She was a great mom. And then like that comes out, you're just gonna like, yeah, I can't revisit this.
But so here's my thing about that though.
Hey, Max.
Except for Lisa Bonet and some of the other children, like some of his except for Lisa Bonet, really, none of the other cast really came out against him, which was always weird for me.
It's tough though. I mean, like, how much are you gonna know about somebody? Are you really gonna know, especially when you're on the biggest show of like all time, in the like middle of it, like doing this, like I can't imagine any of the actors, especially the children on the show, are going to be like, oh wait, I heard you were drugging women, is that true? Like, you're not going to go to them. You're going to like, so like it's hard to hold things against people.
Well, you look at a show like like Martin, where Martin Lawrence and Tashina aren't not Tashina, Tisha Campbell, like they fell out and like they just filmed an entire season without his wife being around.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, and they could only do one scene in like the series finale, like because he threatened her life. Yeah, stuff like that.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it
was a huge falling out.
Like, he
Martin
was
Lawrence?
Yeah.
That's why he wasn't in House Party 3, I believe.
I was going to mention, I just watched Blue Streak the other night with my wife. That was a good heist movie.
That is a really good heist movie.
It's funny.
I need to watch that again. See, another one. I can detach myself from that one because it's like, you've been through your shit.
Yeah, no, he's done his comeuppance. They've been together recently, him and Tisha Campbell. Something.
Yeah, they recently made up, but it's been at least 18 years or so that they hadn't spoken at all.
How do you have that conversation? I'm sorry I threatened to kill you. Can we be cool again? I'll buy you a beer.
I was on a lot.
You know what? Actually, that's actually a really healthy conversation between Will Smith and Janet Hubert. Their reconciliation was amazing.
Yeah, 100%.
Watching that, and thank you for telling me, like, go watch the reunion and how good it was, and I did. That reconciliation was good, but at the same time, for her, like, it never dawned on me, but for her to say to him, you could tell it didn't dawn on him, and he did it. Her saying, like, it's especially hard when you say that any woman is difficult on set. They won't get work anymore, especially a dark-skinned black woman. And like you could see his eyes were like, shit, I never even thought about that. And like it really hit home with him because as soon as she said that to him, you knew
like a whole bunch of light bulbs went off in his head.
Like, and he didn't deny it or anything, but like you knew he said it. The big thing for me was I went back and I'm rewatching with my kids the show, and we're on the third season, her last season, and her character is written terribly compared to the first two seasons. She's treated like she's dumb, like she's irrational. She's getting yelled at by everybody, like for being this way. And I'm like, she was a strong woman in the first two seasons, college professor, everything like that. And like, then they just made her, she had gotten pregnant in real life. That's why it was written in. And like they did not treat her well in her character in that third season. So I got it. But, at least they reconciled though. So like I can forgive that and watch it. 100%. But
Mel Gibson's my one that I completely look past because that man is a fantastic actor, and it's really hard not to want to watch his movies because even his straight to DVD movies right now are really good.
They really are. Watch Boss Level, man. When it comes out, watch Boss Level. It's so good. That made me listen to.
The people that make those movies, they can get. He's a top-notch actor for minimum wage because of his controversy.
I'd work with Mel Gibson.
I had a conversation with Max because there was a chance for us to interview Mel Gibson once. I'm like, do we do it? He's like, dude, it's Mel Gibson. How do we not do it? I'm like, it's true.
Yeah,
definitely.
100%. And like nobody would hold it against you. Nobody's going to hold that against you. You have to do it. Just like Steven, if you did a movie and Mel Gibson could be in it, nobody's holding that against you. Like
I wouldn't even care if they did. I'd be like, all right.
Did you see they're making a fifth Lethal Weapon movie? Like they were too old for that shit back in the 80s. Like Danny Glover is almost 90 now.
He was a week away from retirement in the first movie.
I know.
Yeah. So that means you're in LAPD. You're on for 20 years to be eligible for retirement.
Is it just going to be Riggs pushing around in a wheelchair?
Oh my God, it has to be. I did interview, and we had Gerard was here when we did it. When we had Ian and Esham Nelms on the show, they directed Fat Man, and I had told them when we were talking, I was like, "So you've done a movie with Danny Glover, and you've done a movie with Mel Gibson now. You got to direct the fifth one." So I'm like,
let's put it back together.
They're saying Richard Donner is going to do it. He's in his 90s.
I don't know how you're going to get.
Is he really?
And you can't do it without Pesci at this point. Pesci's a staple in that franchise.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But so that's what I loved about the Lethal Weapon franchise is that they kept bringing back the same characters, and they did it in Bad Boys 3, I think, where they brought back the kids. But you have to bring back your staples for characters, and you can't get new ones. You have to, like, whatever happens to them in real life, you have to write that into your story as well. So
like Chris Rock's a better actor now.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think he's coming back.
Yo, baby, oh baby,
your baby, my baby.
I will say this though, it has been a lot of fun having you guys on talking. We are going a little bit over, and Jeff's show is starting soon, so I don't want to take over his time. I just want to say thank you to Mr. Stephen Morgan for being on the show tonight. We loved your movie, Rook. Everybody go check it out now. It is out on VOD. It is called Rook, R-O-O-K. Get it done. Trust me, you're going to enjoy it. Jason Taylor from 3 Geeks Podcast, thank you so much for joining in, man. You guys always have open invitation to join in.
Mick, you buried the lead. Jeff is the number 9th comedic podcast in Spain, and you got him on your network.
I do. He is the number 9 comedic podcast. Yes, in Spain.
John in Brazil.
And John's huge in Brazil.
In the San Juan network, which means that we are all hacks. So I have to just say, go check out the Jeff Dwoskin Presents Crossing the Streams. It comes on at 9:30. It's a fun show. They're going to go over TV shows you should be watching. It is probably the most original podcast about TV shows right now. Just go and enjoy it. He is no fanboy. He is just straight up funny. So I am Mick Manhattan, of course. My host with me is Gerard, Jay as we call him. Our very special guest, Mr. Stephen Morgan, and Jason Taylor from the 3 Geeks Podcast. Thank you again all for joining. Go check out thescenesnobs.com. Follow us at The Scene Snob. You can check out all our shows there and our full schedule. Thanks very much, guys. See you later.
Thanks, Mick.